I was just kneeling by the hearth, stoking the embers. The silence of the forest was suddenly broken. Then I heard it, the rhythmic jingle of spurs. It wasn't a hiker. It was the sound of men who owned the trail. My heart turned to ice. I knew exactly who they were. I stood in the center of the room, gripping my knife. The door groaned under a heavy shoulder, then it splintered. They kicked it open, and the freezing air rushed in. Silas stepped inside, his face a map of cold malice. He leveled his revolver at my chest and smiled. I looked at him and I lied, telling him they were in the cellar. His eyes widened and he signaled his men to move. I kicked the iron lever and the floor beneath them buckled. Miller went down with a sickening crack into the pit. Elias lunged for me, his pistol firing into the rafters. I swung the iron poker and hit him across the temple. Silas scrambled for footing, but he slipped on the greased floor. He crashed hard, and his gun skittered under the table. I lashed the door shut, leaving them trapped in their greed. I stepped out into the night, pulling my cloak tight. I walked until the sun started to bleed over the jagged peaks. I didn't look back once. I knew by the time they got out, I'd be halfway to the coast. The bonds are gone, buried in a place I'll never return to. Those men will spend their lives wondering how a single woman turned a cabin into a cage. Survival isn't about how much you can carry. It's about what you're willing to leave behind. I left my fear, my past, and them to the mercy of the mountains. Think about your own life for a moment. Are you carrying secrets that are slowly turning into a cage? Are you waiting for a rescue? Or are you holding the keys to your own escape? We all have a cabin in the woods, a place where we hide the things we're afraid to face. If someone came knocking, would you be the one trapped? Or would you be the one who built the floorboards to collapse? I often wonder if they ever made it out, or if the mountains took back what was theirs. It doesn't matter. The silence of the peaks is the only thing I hear now. And it feels like freedom. I am a ghost to them, a whisper in the wind that they'll never catch. That is the only justice I ever needed. Could you have survived that night without losing your humanity? Could you have turned the tables on 3 armed men and walked away? Let me know in the comments below. Remember, out here, the impossible is just another day of survival. Subscribe to Surviving the Impossible and hit the bell so you never miss another story. We'll be here, waiting for the next storm to break. Will you be ready when yours comes? The mountains are calling, and the only way out is through. Stay strong, stay alert, and keep moving forward. The cabin stands silent now, a hollow shell against the rising sun. The wind whistles through the gaps, carrying away the last echoes of that night. Everything inside is just as I left it, frozen in time. The trap worked exactly like I planned, leaving nothing but wreckage behind. These little things tell the whole story of what happened here. It wasn't a fair fight, but it was the only one I had. I didn't look back when I climbed through this window. The mountains were waiting for me, and I was finally ready to face them. Every step I took was a mile further from the person I used to be. I wasn't running away anymore. I was just walking towards something new. The air out here is different when you're not carrying a secret. It's crisp, clean, and it feels like breathing for the very first time. The mountains don't care about your past or your future. They just exist, and for now, that's enough for me. Sometimes you have to be like the water in winter. You have to stay still, wait for the thaw, and keep moving underneath. The storm is over, and the silence is finally mine. I'm ready for whatever comes next, because I know I can handle it. The path ahead is long, but I'm not afraid anymore. I'm just getting started. I look back one last time at that cabin. It feels like a lifetime ago that I was trapped there. Now the mountains just feel like freedom. I only kept what I really needed. Everything else stays behind in the snow. The trail ahead is long, but I'm ready. I've learned how to read these mountains better than anyone. We all carry secrets that turn into cages. I finally found the key to mine. I don't recognize the person I was back then. And honestly, I'm glad for that. The mountains don't care about my history. They only care about who's strong enough to walk away. It's quiet out here. Finally, some peace. I'm not looking back anymore. The future is all that matters now. They'll never find me. I'm just a whisper in the wind now. So, are you ready for your own storm? Because out here, the impossible is just another day. I keep moving forward one step at a time. The cold doesn't bother me like it used to. Look at this view. It's like the mountains are finally letting me go. I'm not looking back anymore. The past is just a ghost now. Whatever comes next, I'm ready for it. I've survived worse than this. This is my path now. No one can tell me where to go. Cold water, clear mind. That's all I need. The world feels so big today, and I'm finally part of it. Goodbye to all that. I'm leaving it all behind. I'm free now. And that's all that matters. The mountains will always be here. And so will I. I looked back one last time at the place that almost became my grave. It's just a speck in the distance now, lost in the shadows of the peaks. I'm not looking back anymore. The road ahead is mine to choose, and I'm finally ready to walk it. These mountains have a way of testing you, but I've learned how to play their game. Every step is a reminder that I'm still here. It's quiet out here. The kind of quiet that lets you think. I haven't felt this clear-headed in years. The going gets tougher, but that's just how it is. You gotta keep moving if you want to make it out. A little food goes a long way when you're out here. It's not much, but it's enough to keep me going. Time to get moving again. Can't afford to get comfortable. Not yet. They're probably still trying to pry that door open. Let them wonder where I went. The mountains are a harsh teacher, but they're honest. I've learned more about myself in these last few hours than I did in 3 years. I'm finally free. And that's the only justice I ever needed. I often wonder if they ever made it out, or if the mountains took back what was theirs. It doesn't matter. The silence of the peaks is the only thing I hear now, and for the first time in my life, that silence feels like freedom. I am a ghost to them, a whisper in the wind that they'll never catch. And that is the only justice I ever needed. Could you have survived that night without losing your humanity? Could you have turned the tables on 3 armed men and walked into the freezing night with nothing but your life? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, out here, the impossible is just another day of survival. Subscribe to Surviving the Impossible and hit the bell so you never miss another story of true human resilience. We'll be here, waiting for the next storm to break. Will you be ready when yours comes? Survival isn't about how much you can carry. It's about what you're willing to leave behind. I left my fear, I left my past, and I left them to the mercy of the mountains. The wilderness doesn't care about your motives or your history. It only cares about who is strong enough to walk away. Think about your own life for a moment. Are you carrying secrets that are slowly turning into a cage? I look back at those peaks one last time. The wind is biting, but I don't feel the cold anymore. It's finally over. Turning my back on the past is the easiest thing I've ever done. Every step takes me further away from that cabin. I'm moving towards something new. The forest is quiet tonight. I'll rest here until the sun comes up. It's peaceful, finally. I wonder if they're still in there. Probably still cursing my name. Doesn't matter now. Another day, another mile. I'm getting closer to the edge of these mountains. Time to move. The air out here is different. It's clean. I'm finally breathing again. There it is. The lights of the valley. I actually made it. No more looking back. The past stays up there in the cold. I'm ready for whatever comes next. Nobody here knows who I am. I can be anyone I want. That's the best part. Time to start living. Goodbye, Bitterroot. I'm finally home. I found a quiet spot on the edge of tower. The warmth hit me like a wave. My hands were still shaking from everything. The waitress didn't ask any questions. I just needed something hot to hold. For the first time, I felt safe. I had my old notebook with me. It was time to get rid of the past. Watching those pages go felt like freedom. The wind started howling again outside. I saw my reflection in the glass. The mountains are always going to be part of me. I left some cash a la Clara. I didn't look back when I walked out. I'm finally ready to stop running. The streets were quiet and empty. The cold air felt different now. I'm not afraid of the road anymore. I found a place to stay for the night. Writing my name felt weird, but good. It was like I was finally myself again. The room was quiet and still. I looked at my hands and saw the history there. I'm tired, but it's a good kind of tired. The bed felt like a dream. The wind outside was just a memory now. I finally fell asleep without being scared. The morning light felt warm and new. The past was finally behind me. I'm ready to start my life again. The morning air feels different today. It's crisp and clean, like a fresh start. Those mountains are just a memory now. Time to get moving. This old truck's still got some miles left in her. I'm finally heading somewhere new. The road ahead is finally wide open. No more looking back at what I left behind. It's just me and the horizon now. Look at all this space. I think I'll head toward the coast. There's a whole lot of world left to see. New state, new life. I'm finally crossing the line. It feels good to be a stranger again. Just another stop on the way. I'm just a face in the crowd now. And that's exactly how I like it. The stars look different out here. They're not watching me anymore. I'm finally just a person under the sky. The silence isn't scary anymore. It's just quiet. And quiet is exactly what I need. Ready for the last stretch. The coast is waiting. Let's see what's out there. I made it. The ocean is finally here. This is where my new life starts. I knew who they were before they even knocked. My heart didn't just race. It turned to ice. The door groaned under a heavy shoulder. The wood splintered near the iron latch. They kicked the door open, the frigid air rushing in. Silas stepped inside first, his face a map of scars. I told him the bonds were in the cellar. His eyes widened, a flicker of avarice that made him sloppy. I kicked the iron lever I had built into the chimney. The floor beneath them didn't just give way. It buckled. Miller went down with a sickening crack. He screamed, a sound that cut through the whistling wind. Elias lunged for me, his pistol firing blindly. The flash lit up the room in a strobe of terror. I swung with every ounce of frustration I'd carried. I hit him across the temple, and he collapsed. Silas was the only one left standing. He crashed hard, his chin slamming against the hearth. I grabbed a heavy iron chain and lashed the door shut. I left them in the cold, trapped in the wreckage. I walked until the sun began to bleed over the jagged peaks. I didn't look back once. I knew by the time they pried their way out, I'd be halfway to the coast. The bonds were gone, buried in a place I'd never return to. Survival isn't about how much you can carry. It's about what you're willing to leave behind. Think about your own life for a moment. Are you carrying secrets that are slowly turning into a cage? We all have a cabin in the woods, a place where we hide the things we're afraid to face. The question is, if someone came knocking, would you be the one trapped? I often wonder if they ever made it out, or if the mountains took back what was theirs. It doesn't matter. The silence of the peaks is the only thing I hear now, and for the first time, it feels like freedom. I am a ghost to them, a whisper in the wind that they'll never catch. Could you have survived that night without losing your humanity? Could you have turned the tables on 3 armed men and walked into the freezing night? Let me know in the comments below. And remember, out here, the impossible is just another day of survival. Subscribe to Surviving the Impossible and hit the bell so you never miss another story. We'll be here, waiting for the next storm to break. Will you be ready when yours comes? I stand here now, looking out at a world that feels completely new. The weight of the past is finally starting to fade away. It's funny how quickly a place you called home can turn into a cage. I don't miss that cabin, not even for a second. I'm not running from anything anymore. I'm just walking toward a life that's actually mine. These hands have seen a lot of trouble, but they've also built everything I needed to survive. The silence out here, it's finally starting to feel like freedom. It's the only thing I need to hear now. I wonder if they ever made it out of that cabin. Honestly, it doesn't really matter to me anymore. The stars are so bright out here, you can almost touch them. They've been the only map I've needed all along. Survival isn't just about staying alive. It's about choosing to keep going when everything tells you to stop. Are you ready for your own storm when it finally hits? Because it's coming. And you've got to be ready to face it. I'll be here, waiting for the next storm to break. Will you be ready when yours comes? I look back at the cabin one last time. The wind is howling, but I don't feel the cold anymore. That part of my life is finally over. I've got just enough gear to make it to the next town. It's not much, but it's everything I need. Time to keep moving. The snow crunches under my boots with every step. I've spent years learning how these mountains talk. Every shadow out here feels like a friend now. I stop for a second, just to catch my breath. Looking up at those stars, I realize how small I really am. And honestly, that feels pretty good. I wonder if those guys ever made it out of that cabin. Doesn't really matter, though. They're stuck in their own mess, and I'm finally free. The sun's starting to peek over the horizon. Those peaks look pretty sharp against the morning light. I've got a long way to go, but the path is clear. I look at my hands and see all the work I've put in. I'm not the same person who showed up here 3 years ago. I'm stronger now, and I'm ready for whatever's next.
Survival isn't just about luck.
It's about the choices you make when everything's falling apart.
Are you ready to make yours?
I'm finally at peace with everything.
The mountains helped me find who I really am.
Time to keep walking. The wilderness doesn't care about your past. It only cares about who's strong enough to keep walking. I'll see you on the other side. I often wonder if they ever made it out, or if the mountains just took back what was theirs. It doesn't really matter anymore. The silence of the peaks is all I hear now. And for the first time, that silence feels like freedom. I'm just a ghost to them now. A whisper in the wind they'll never catch. And that's the only justice I ever needed. It's strange, realizing my survival was the ultimate act of defiance. Could you have survived that night without losing your humanity? Could you have turned the tables on 3 armed men? And walked into the freezing night with nothing but your life? It's a question I ask myself every time the wind picks up. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And remember, out here, the impossible is just another day of survival. We're all capable of more than we think when the stakes are high. Subscribe to Surviving the Impossible and hit the bell so you never miss another story of true human resilience. We'll be here, waiting for the next storm to break. Will you be ready when yours comes? The camera pans across the empty, snow-covered trail. There are no footprints left behind. Just the pristine, untouched beauty of the mountain morning. It's as if she was never there at all. The wind picks up, swirling the light snow into a dance. The trees sway gently, their branches heavy with frost. It's a reminder that the wilderness is always moving, always changing. In the distance, the sun fully clears the horizon, bathing the entire valley in a warm amber glow. The shadows retreat, and the world feels new again. The cycle of the day begins anew. The screen slowly fades to black, leaving only the sound of the wind and the faint rhythmic crackle of a distant fire. The story of the cabin is over, but the lesson remains. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Stay safe, stay resilient, and keep moving forward. Until next time.